As the clock struck midnight on January 1st, 1950, a new era dawned in the United States. This was an era of change, of struggle, and of hope. The 1950s in America were marked by a dichotomy of progress and prejudice. As the nation reveled in post-war prosperity, the ugly face of racial segregation and discrimination lurked in its shadows. African Americans, though technically free, were shackled by the chains of societal and legal barriers. They were relegated to second-class citizenship, denied their basic civil rights, and subjected to systemic racism. Nevertheless, the spirit of resistance was kindling. This was a time when the seeds of a transformative movement were being sown. A movement that sought to challenge the status quo and demand equal rights for all, irrespective of race or color. And so, in the face of adversity, the stage was set for a movement that would change the course of American history. It all started on a regular day in December 1955, when a woman named Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a bus. This act of defiance was the spark that ignited the civil rights movement, a battle for equality that swept across the United States. Rosa's bold move led to the Montgomery bus boycott, a year-long protest that saw African Americans refusing to ride city buses in Montgomery, Alabama. This peaceful demonstration was a significant early victory for the movement, as the United States Supreme Court ruled that segregation on public buses was unconstitutional. From this victory, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference was born. Led by a young Martin Luther King Jr., the SCLC became a major force, organizing nonviolent protests to challenge segregation and racial injustice. Then came the Little Rock Nine, a group of 9 black students who bravely enrolled at an all-white high school in Little Rock, Arkansas in 1957. Their courage in the face of violent opposition was a powerful statement against the deeply ingrained racism of the time. The year 1960 saw another surge in the movement, with the sit-ins at Greensboro. 4 black college students sat at a segregated lunch counter demanding to be served. This peaceful protest sparked sit-ins across the country, drawing attention to the everyday discrimination faced by African Americans. Each of these events, while seemingly small, sent ripples of change across the nation, paving the way for a major showdown. The year 1963 brought with it not just a new decade, but also a new intensity to the civil rights movement. This was the year that saw the civil rights movement gain unprecedented momentum. In the heart of the South, Birmingham, Alabama, a campaign was masterfully executed. A campaign that would serve as the catalyst for monumental change. Orchestrated by Martin Luther King Jr. and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the Birmingham campaign was a strategic effort to expose the brutality of segregation to the world. But the year 1963 wasn't just about demonstrations and protests. It was also about a dream which would echo through the ages. On a hot summer day at the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his iconic "I Have a Dream" speech. That day, hundreds of thousands of people marched on Washington for jobs and freedom, creating a spectacle that the world could not ignore. King's speech was a powerful call for an end to racism, a plea for equality that resonated with millions. The impact was immediate and profound. The march on Washington and the speech sparked a new sense of urgency in the fight against segregation and discrimination. These monumental events shook the nation, stirring the conscience of many and igniting a renewed push for legislation. The battle was far from over, but the progress was undeniable. With each passing year, the civil rights movement began to see the fruits of its labor. The mid-60s brought about significant legislative victories that reshaped the American landscape. The Civil Rights Act of 1964, a monumental achievement, outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. It was a major stride in dismantling the machinery of segregation, but the fight didn't stop there. The very next year, the Voting Rights Act of 1965 was passed, a crucial law that prohibited racial discrimination in voting, effectively empowering millions of African Americans with a voice in the political arena. And then, in 1968, the Fair Housing Act barred discrimination in housing, another brick in the wall of equality. Yet, The struggle was punctuated with profound sorrow. The assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. in 1968 sent shockwaves through the nation, reminding everyone that the road to equality was fraught with danger. Yet his dream lived on, and the struggle continues beyond the 60s. The civil rights movement was more than a series of events. It was a testament to the power of people's voices, a movement that continues to inspire and guide us in the quest for equality.